and welcome to my writing shed. My name is Dominique Valenti and I'm a children's author. I also write under the pen name Lily Graham, where I write historical fiction. So this is the space in which I write most of my stories. We bought this house 3 years ago and I inherited the shed. It was a typical sort of garden shed, but there was my lovely father-in-law insulated it so that I can work in it all year round. As you can see, it's not a very big space, but it's perfect for what I need. So I use that computer mostly for putting on ASMR, mainly because it is so old and out of date that none of the updates work. So now it's this glorified stream of ASMR and fun stuff like that, which sets the tone. Some of those illustrations are from a beautiful bookish calendar I had a couple of years ago. There's also some of my own artwork, illustrations from my novel Starfell. So the ones sort of over there, that's from Willow Moss and The Forgotten Tale, and it was illustrated by the incredible Sarah Warburton. But I collect all sorts of things and I stick it on my wall as inspiration. I also keep a lot of my notebooks over there. I'm a stationery fiend and there's nothing better than finding the perfect notebook for the next book. And some of the books on the notebooks are a sort of aesthetic, and I keep all kinds of things in them that brings the story to life. So for instance, for Witchbark, I found that notebook when I visited Tintagel Castle. So it was sort of Arthurian inspired and it looked exactly like what one would keep a grimoire or, big book of secret spells. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, that would be perfect for my alternative Victorian magical historical fantasy mashup that I created. But with other books, like for my Lily Graham stuff, I, will keep like a moleskin, and sometimes they aesthetic. I'll show you one or two in a minute. Other times it's just a bunch of notes and the plot line and where I've gotten stuck, and it's just nice to have a record. But for Witchbark, I had a lot of fun. I even created my own newspaper, which sort of explained what happened. Not all of this ends up in the book. On the bookshelves, I keep books that I'm using for research. It's usually a strange blend of fantasy books for my children's and my children's side, and then also lots of World War II or Edwardian or history things, which is quite fun. Over here is my collection of Edwardian and Queen Victoria books that I used as inspiration for Witchbark. My real name is Dominique Valenti, which I know sounds like the made-up one. But it really is my name. It's a combination of pretentious parents with the name Dominique and then the addition of a lovely Portuguese husband. So altogether I think I've written about 15 or more books. I have to actually count. I should count. I don't have a lot of my Lily Graham books here. They kept in the garage mainly because I've got a lot of foreign editions, so I needed a place to store them. But I would like to have a collection somewhere. One day I'll get around to doing that. I do a lot of my writing at this desk, but if I'm being honest, I write almost anyway. For the past, I'd say 6 months, I've been getting up at about 5. Not every day. I mean, I wish I was that disciplined. But it's a writing routine that I came across from Anthony Trollope. And he wrote all of his books, and there was a lot of books at that time of the morning. What I discovered is that it works annoyingly well. I don't want it to work as well as it does. I would like to just be disciplined enough to get into my shed at about 9 and then just work all day. But for some reason, by that time of day, my brain is fully awake, and so is the critical inner voice, the voice that says, oh, this is rubbish, this is the worst thing you've ever written, everyone's going to know that, you actually don't know how to write, all of those things. Yeah. So at 5 o'clock, I find that that voice is quiet and I'm able to get words down and I enter that flow state, which is just wonderful. So yeah, that's my 5 a.m. story. I don't often get into the shed at 5 a.m. But in winter and on a rainy day and at 5 in the morning, it's just far and cold enough for me to not to do it. So I tend to end up writing in downstairs on my couch. And what is lovely is that my dog Frankie has taken to joining me, which is really sweet. And I'm like, well, Frankie, you don't have to do this. You can lie in bed. But yeah, she comes and keeps me company, which is wonderful. Let me know about your writing space. Where do you write? For years, I didn't have an office of my own. You know, I would write on kitchen tables or a corner of the house. But I've always found that you can make it your own if you try. So that's my writing shed. I hope you've enjoyed this little mini tour.